Welcome to My Therapist is Out. Each episode, we talk with a therapist from Open Space Therapy Collective or LGBT community members about mental health and building community. I'm your host, Renae Johnson, licensed therapist and founder of Open Space Therapy Collective, where we are your hub for queer and trans mental health care. This week, we are talking with Debbie Whyte, she, her. Debbie is an associate therapist and art therapist with Open Space Therapy Collective. Debbie specializes in working with queer and BIPOC teens and young adults who are looking to grow into themselves and find their voice.
As we dive into today's topic, please keep in mind that this is a mental health podcast. We will talk about sensitive and difficult issues that are not appropriate for all audiences. Please take care while listening.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we've got OSTC therapist Debbie Whyte with us, and I love this topic. We're talking about rage. Anger and rage and those fiery emotions are some of my favorite to work with in the therapy room, and also really important to experience, to make friends with. And Debbie dives in and talks about healthy rage and when rage is healthy and how that can show up and how to work with that. These big fiery emotions tend to be really taboo. People tend to tell us that we're too much or that there's something wrong if we're experiencing being angry, having rage about something. And that's bullshit. If it goes unchecked, if you use those emotions to act out on somebody else, not cool. But the feelings themselves are fine, and they're information, and they're active information. And so Debbie and I dive into it. It's a great conversation. Very curious to hear what you all think. Please comment, find us on social media, find us at our website, openspacetherapycollective.com, and let us know what you think. Let us know your experience of anger and rage and the healthy times that it's shown up and been helpful for you. Please, of course, everybody asks, I'm going to ask, it's so helpful. Rate us, review, subscribe to the podcast. It's super helpful, and I look forward to hearing about what y'all think. Welcome back to My Therapist is Out, an Open Space Therapy Collective podcast. We have our wonderful therapist, Debbie Whyte, back with us today, so good to see you.
Yes, same.
And today we're talking about rage. I have been looking forward to this one because anger is like my favorite topic in therapy, or my favorite feeling in therapy.
I know. You've made me feel so like open to that one. I remember us having a conversation and it's like, yeah, you're right. It's just an emotion.
Mm-hmm. Let's get pissed. So specifically, we're talking about healthy rage and like, can rage be healthy? Is rage healthy? Mm-hmm. What got you interested in wanting to talk about this today?
Because I absolutely think that it's healthy to scream or even use your breath, like inhale and exhale loudly to like, our sound is so important, and it makes a connection. Like it releases as well as it reminds us that we have a voice and that we are alive, and it's important. When we're sad, we cry, and I'm a firm believer that crying is needed. There's been studies and research that shows that when you cry, you release toxicity out of your system, you get clearer head, you think better, you make good decisions. I feel anger is the same way. You release it in a healthy way, and then you're able to be like, okay. And as an art therapist, I'm a fan of angry art. Even if you just wrote fuck all over the page in the most angry way possible. And then I always encourage clients to rip it up because that's therapeutic. And you feel that release. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's such an important emotion. And like anger to rage, and like just to name, like our world is fucked up right now. This will probably come out in about a month from when we're recording it, and like the elections are coming up, the Palestine stuff is happening,
there's a lot of misinformation out there, and people's belief systems are battling with one another. And I also am a firm believer, I don't argue with someone against their belief system because they'll never see your point. And so save yourself the aggravation and take a healthy moment to go scream in a pillow that you felt like you just talked to a wall.
And I love that you're naming already kind of the difference between the feeling and then choosing what to do with the feeling.
Exactly.
Because I think one of the big things that people get freaked out about with anger and rage is that these feelings mean violence.
Yes.
And that is not the case at all. They are just feelings.
After a lot of clients, I always ask them, can you control anger? And everyone says, no, you can't. It's impulsive. And I'm like, you're right. A lot of the time it is, because we get to a tipping point where we don't think, and it just becomes rage, impulsivity. However, if we are aware of our triggers, that's going to lead us up to, hey, I'm getting angry. I find that I'm getting angry. This is not, no, I really, then you can control how much rage you release and what you could do with it. Because you're right, feelings are just information. And if we name our feelings and say, what are you trying to tell me? We can respond better. But it takes a lot of practice to do that. And a lot of people are not, because we're in a society of instant gratification.
And toxic positivity. Everything is fine.
Everything's fabulous.
Just manifest it. It's one of the beautiful things about like anger and rage is it's something that you can just kind of have all of the time, right? Like, let's look at like all of the anti-trans and LGBTQ bills. I have constant rage about that, but I'm not enacting that rage. But I have a very close relationship with that rage, so I know when to express it and when to not express it.
Right. And my rage is different as an ally / accomplice. Fierce, or I should say fierce ally. My rage is different. My rage turns into, I want to protect that person from the hate that's coming to them. I work in a place also where we have adolescents that are coming from Texas that identifies trans, and they can't get the mental health they need there because Texas. So they come all the way to California, and I want to provide safe space for them as much as possible. So I may choose not to bring up all the bills and all the things because it's going to overwhelm the kid. I just want the kid to get confidence to identify who they are and develop a voice and advocate for themselves. That's my goal. Just provide a safe realm for them. Now, when I'm with my friends and if someone says, hey, we're going to be writing a bunch of letters, and I'm down. Let's do it. You know, I change my rage into action that it's going to be positive. And then there are moments when I see the news and I hear of yet another trans woman brutally killed in a hate crime, and whatever state it is, and they're chalking up to no big deal. Then it's kind of like, oh my God, the profanity that comes out of my mouth, and I start turning into my aunt who used to talk to the TV. And he's like, Aunt B, they can't hear you. I have now become Aunt B, and I'm just like, la, 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 la. And but I still choose not to dump that rage on my friends because I know they're already enraged too about that topic. So, yeah.
But we do, you and I do, we will have like rage bitch sessions because we share that same anger and rage and injustice that we can be in that space and release that energy together, but not at each other.
Exactly.
Right?
Right. But then there's also, when I say dump my rage on, meaning I may call you up. I don't even say, hey, can you handle my rage right now? Because I really need to vent. I just start, and you don't even know where it's coming from. That's not fair to the person, right? Because your friend, your person wants to be there for you. So it's kind of like, let's ask, you know, hey, this is a cool time. I really need to bitch about this. It's really upset me. And I know we are like-minded, and you're not going to feed into my bitchiness on the topic, but you're going to bitch with me, and then we're going to try and find a solution. Yeah.
I love that you're naming that rage is one of the core emotions that's helping you protect the teens that you work with, that's helping you offer safety and care, that's the rage is really gentle and like nurturing. because that is the opposite of what everybody thinks happens, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to extra point that out, that these emotions are important, and what you do with them and how you channel them
Absolutely.
can be soft and gentle and loving.
Absolutely. We already know that sometimes when you feel overwhelmed, sometimes people go work out, some people go for a walk, some people say, I want to take a nap, I just want to check the fuck out for an hour. And that's okay too. I'm big on, and I preach it every client that I work with too, let's name our emotions. Let's name it. But try to detach from feeling the emotion and try to see what the information the emotion is trying to tell you. Mm-hmm. It's two different things. And the moment you change your mindset to, hey, I'm feeling really anxious right now. What is this trying to tell me? Well, what's coming up that would make me anxious? Oh, I got an exam coming up. I don't feel like I'm prepared. Or I got a review at work and I never get along with the supervisor. I don't know what to expect. When you name the feeling and try to see the information it's giving you, it prepares you to make informed decisions. As I always say, informed decisions to honor yourself and those you interact with. That was my therapist voice.
I love it. One of the things that's
I only use that therapist voice in presentations. All right, go ahead.
One of the things that's inherently in what you're saying is all of these are actions that are with rage, right? Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship with rage and action and being motivated and how those go together?
Yeah, there was a question on here that says, I have lived with depression and rage for a lot of my life. It's who I am, and I don't want to give that up. Is therapy supposed to change me? And so my answer to that, which will answer this, is I said, therapy is to help you understand, the underlying reasons behind your rage, your depression, so you can make informed decisions. Mm-hmm. Not change you. That's up to you. Mm-hmm. If you don't like feeling those things, once you've identified the underlying cause, then you make your change. But know that with change comes feelings of messiness. It's going to feel yucky because your brain and you are accustomed to doing things the old way. Even if the consequences wasn't beneficial, you know what to expect, and you're prepared to take those consequences. When you're making a change for a change behavior, you have to give yourself permission to develop the new reaction and stick with it. Yeah. So change is up to you. Therapy doesn't make you change. Therapy helps you identify what's going on so you could choose if you want to make the change or not. But I do have a lot of clients that will say, depression is what I know. Mm-hmm. Feeling angry is all I know. Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with it. No, we're not. Mm-mm. Nobody wants to live a depressed, angry life. Mm-hmm. Everybody, I feel, inherently wants to live a copacetic life, right? Whatever that looks like for you. But nobody wants to do it in the depression and anger. So I challenge people, let's explore that. Why? Why do you want to just accept to live a depressed and rageful life? Yeah. How is that benefiting you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a difference in you're always depressed and angry, and these are emotions that you experience sometimes.
Exactly.
Right? When we get stuck in that anger, that's when we lose our autonomy. And therapy is really about giving you the autonomy to choose and experience and decide and make changes or not.
Yeah. I mean, because it could disguise itself as depression and rage when the reality is I am 20-something and I don't know what my future holds for me because this world really sucks right now. Mm-hmm. And that's honest and that's valid. Mm-hmm. And your feelings are valid. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I find, I'm curious what your experience has been with, that these big emotions, whether they pull you down and like keep you from moving, like a big depression, or they get you really angry and big and fiery, are kind of protective warrior emotions for the vulnerable emotion behind it.
Right?
Because rage isn't really vulnerable. Rage is like on the attack, and it's going to
But at
hurt.
the same time, it can be. It can be.
It
could be, I'm going to attack you so you can't hurt me. I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. Because I've been down that road before, and I don't like that feeling. So it could be an attack mode because you don't want to feel the vulnerability.
Right.
Yeah.
And like there's typically like fear behind rage, and there's anxiety and nervousness and all of those things that can be back there. Like, you know, we're talking about these bills. Yes, I have a lot of rage about it because I'm also scared what's going to happen to all of the people that I love and care about if these things pass.
And all the kiddos to come, because, you know, since COVID, we've had an increase in anxiety and depression and suicidal ideation. And that's just with heteronorm, right? Can you imagine? It's multiplied even more when you have a kid who identifies as trans or queer, because there's no resources for them. They just see more bills attacking them. And so we've been getting more and more kids admitted that identify as trans or queer or no label. I had one kid who's like, I would walk in and I'm like, hey kiddos, hey humans. And they're like, what if I don't like being called human? I'm like, well, what would you like to be called? And they said, whale. I said, okay. So, and then the other one said, I want to be called unicorns. So now when I go in to greet everyone, I'd be like, hey kiddos, humans, whales, unicorns, and in betweens.
Oh, that's cute.
So, you know, they feel heard and they feel seen, and that's the best I can do at this moment, right? But it's like every time I hear, especially election months, election year, they are horrible, and I really don't like. I say all that to say, you can direct your rage. It doesn't have to be seen as just impulsivity as society's always made it to be, because the most important thing is identifying your feelings, identifying what triggers your rage so that you can take steps to protect yourself.
Yes. Okay, we got a couple questions then. I'm laughing because I know you already have a clap back to this. My partner only listens to me if I yell at them, and they really piss me off sometimes. Is it healthy to freak out on them when I'm upset? It's just me being authentic about how I feel.
Clap back. And how's that working out for you? It sounds like, and I'm going to be brutally honest, it sounds like your relationship has taken a turn for toxicity, has toxic traits, which is all going to develop into a dysfunctional relationship. And is that what you want with a partner? I'm dating myself, but I remember like the little puppet Punch and Judy. Punch and Judy was a married puppet couple, and they always were fighting.
Oh.
And this is 1950s. I wasn't born then, but I do remember the expression Punch and Judy, that they would just argue all the time. She would be very demeaning and nagging, and he would say, oh, shut up. It was all the dysfunctional traits of a 1950s marriage with women were second-class citizens, you know, and but they did other ways of getting, kind of like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? If you know of that play, Virginia Woolf was always demeaning to her professor husband and all that. So when I saw this, immediately I thought about, where in your family are you reliving this relationship? Like, what do you know about this?
Yeah.
Because it's a learned behavior somewhere. And if you don't think so, I'd like to challenge you to really think about it, you know. So I'm not in agreement with that's the only way I can get my partner to do stuff is yell at them.
No, and something's happening with the dynamic
Mm-hmm.
where your partner's not hearing you or shutting down, and you're having to get loud to get their attention. And just because the emotion is true does not mean the behavior is authentic. I also want to push back on that.
Yeah.
Like, you can be pissed off, and that does not mean that screaming is a emotionally safe behavior to have in an intimate relationship.
That's the therapy speak that I don't like. Using, I'm just being my authentic self. No, that sounds very passive aggressive, and not taking accountability. Like, there's a reason why your partner's not listening, and there's a reason that they're shutting down. And so maybe you two need to talk about it, because you both need to take accountability on your behavior and how you're addressing each other. Yeah, I don't like that. I just be my authentic self. No, you're not. Being your authentic self would recognize I wouldn't like being yelled at to get something done. So I'm not going to do it to my partner.
Right. And being authentic has a sense of vulnerability to it. And so if you're in attack mode, then we're not being authentic.
Nope. Did you just notice how dynamics? I'm like, oh, and you're like,
we hit record. I'm like, this one's going to be fiery and fast. Okay, one more. We kind of touched on this already, but the world has turned against queer and trans people, and I am just infuriated all the time. I feel like my rage is controlling me, but there's so much to be upset about.
Understandably, valid. However, I'm not going to say but, however, if our mental and physical well-being matters most to us, and it should, we have to learn to take breaks. That means turning off the news, maybe checking out for a day or two, or even a week. Give yourself as much time as possible. Doing some exercises, or like if you have a therapist, just talk about ways that you can take a break and set up those coping skills, because we cannot be in fight and flight all the time. When we're in fight and flight, we cause internal damage in our organs. Blood pressure spiking, which affects everything else. You're not sleeping well. You might have headaches. Your health can take its toll, and your mental health will take its toll. So we have to recognize when it becomes too much, and we have to step away. Stepping away doesn't mean that you've given up. My motto is rest, not quit. So just rest, and then go back when you feel like you can ease back into it. Maybe start slow, or maybe your support group be like, hey, I need a couple of days not to talk about this. Who can I check in with on where we are in our organization and whatever we're doing? And then somebody be like, you know what, I'm in a good frame of mind. I'll take notes for you. Check in with one another. If you're feeling that way, your support group or your chosen people are feeling that way too. So how could you all take a break for your mental health? Yeah.
There's been something that's come up from some of the clients, that there's been a lot of guilt if they take breaks.
Yes.
Right? They're not contributing, they're not giving back. And there's a part of us that feels like if we stop scrolling, if we stop listening to the news, if we take a few days and not go to a protest or whatever it is, then we're part of the problem. And
FOMO.
Yeah. That's not it.
No.
You have to take a break.
FOMO is not real.
No. There was a quote, and I can't remember who said this, but it struck me the other day, because it was talking about protest and activism, and how if you think about it like a large choir, the note never stops, because the individuals can pause to take a breath and then come back, and they do it at different times in different ways, and so the note and the voice continues even though the individuals have time to rest.
Absolutely. And I think that we want to not mimic the culture of society, like corruption, I was going to say corporate, but really it's Corruption America. Unless they're sponsored. No, I'm joking. But no, we don't want to mimic the dysfunctions of corporate America where it's always like work, never rest. Because even corporate America sees that it's a downfall if your employees are not taking time off, productivity fails. So the guilt that people are feeling really comes from the instant gratification part, where it's like everyone feels that they have to have an answer right away. I'm that therapist to say, challenge yourself to pause and say, let me get back to you, and really think about your answer. And if it takes you a day or two, be okay with that, because there's no law, there's no rule or any guidelines that says you have to answer right away and that you have to be productive every single minute of the day.
No.
So that's on the person, and that is something they need to work out, maybe with a therapist, on how they can reduce the performance anxiety, to reduce the people-pleasing behavior, because that also stems from that. We don't realize it, and we learn that from early on as far as kindergarten. Oh, my teacher will like me if I bring an apple. You know, like people pleasing. It's ingrained in all of us. It just comes out in different ways.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and talking about this. We should have more angry conversations. What therapy is great, community is great. We need both. What is an example of a good rage community moment of joy in the last couple weeks?
Oh, I misread that. I just got stuck on what is rageful for me. And
I mean, you can take this any direction you want.
I mean, what triggers my rage besides the unfairness of not allowing people to be humans, microaggression, which a lot of us experience that, especially in the BIPOC community. The fact that I have to have a bill to be able to wear my hair in its natural state.
Oh my God.
So all these things can ignite my rage, as well as California traffic. But I've been doing better with that. So what the joy, something joyful that diminishes my rage? I'm about to go check out a place where we can smash some items, and I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. Our open space team is going to a rage ground, which is like a break room, to let some of us out.
Yeah.
In about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we will be there, and I think
maybe we'll do some footage and put it on our social
that's
media.
That's a good idea. Maybe we'll include it with the pod. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let us know what you do with your rage. How do you have and express healthy rage? How does it show up differently for you? DM us, comment on social media, and please like, share, follow, all of those things. It really helps. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you're in California and looking for a therapist, visit our website at openspacetherapycollective.com and book a free intro call with one of our therapists. If you're enjoying My Therapist Is Out, please rate, review, and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Do you know somebody who could use a little bit of an extra dose of queer community? Send them your favorite episode and help our collective grow one listen at a time. My Therapist Is Out is an open space therapy collective podcast, and our therapists are Renae Johnson, Kristen Crow, Debbie Whyte, Jenny Nigro, Tara Friedman, and Ernesto Martinez. Our podcast editing is done by Smash and Grab Studio, and social media management by Alana Goldman. We'd love to hear from you about today's topic, so please email us at info@openspacetherapycollective.com to share your thoughts. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Open Space Therapy Collective. Thanks for listening.